When you hear the word hacking, what's the first image that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's a very specific stereotype, right? But that single image, well, it doesn't even begin to capture the whole story. In this explainer, we're going to pull back that curtain and introduce you to the entire cast of characters in the hacking world, from the heroes to the villains and, believe me, everyone in between.
Is it that classic Hollywood image? You know, the shadowy figure in a hoodie hunched over a keyboard in a dark room? Yeah, that stereotype is powerful, but it's really just one piece of a much, much larger puzzle. The world of hacking isn't a solo act, it's a full-on ensemble.
And that's exactly what we're going to map out. I want you to think of it like a spectrum. On one end, you've got these digital guardians working to protect you. On the complete opposite end, you have people actively trying to cause harm. And in the middle, well, that's where things get really interesting.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the good guys. Then we're going to explore that murky gray area, confront the bad guys, and finally, we'll cover a few other types to really see the full picture.
Okay, so let's kick things off on the positive end of the spectrum. These are the hackers you'd actually want to have a coffee with, the ones working day in and day out to keep our digital world safe and sound.
The two words you really got to lock in here are ethical and permission. White hats are the cybersecurity pros hired by companies to test their own defenses. They have to think like a bad guy to find the weak spots before the real bad guys do.
So essentially, they're the security experts who get paid to break things, but in a totally controlled way. Also, those things can be rebuilt even stronger. They're kind of like the digital security guards you hire to proactively patrol your walls and check all the locks for you.
And now, we enter the more complicated, morally ambiguous middle ground. This is where those clear lines between right and wrong start to get really blurry, and figuring out people's motives gets a whole lot harder.
Did you catch the key difference? No permission. Gray hats are operating in this legal and ethical haze. They find a flaw in your system all on their own, and then they come knocking, offering to fix the very problem they discovered, for a price, of course. This just nails their approach perfectly, doesn't it? They aren't necessarily malicious, they're probably not stealing your data, but this unsolicited help can feel an awful lot like a shakedown. They are the opportunistic freelancers of the hacking world.
Also living in this gray area is the hacktivists. Now for them, it's not about money at all. It's about sending a message. Their motivation is purely ideological. They're using their skills to push a cause they truly believe in.
Their methods can range from something like shutting down a corporate website in protest to leaking a massive trove of documents to expose what they see as wrongdoing. They're basically digital rebels, hacking for what they consider to be justice, completely regardless of the law.
All right, time to head to the dark end of the spectrum. These are the players who give hacking its sinister reputation, the ones who operate with purely malicious or selfish intentions.
You know, what's so great about this slide is just how crystal clear the distinction is. It all comes down to motive and permission. While a white hat is a hired security guard, a black hat is a burglar. They might have the same skills, but their goals are polar opposites.
Yep, these are the criminals you're always reading about in the headlines. They're the ones deploying ransomware, stealing credit card numbers, and selling your personal data on the dark web. Their goal is brutally simple: make a profit no matter the cost to their victims.
So here's a crucial point. While our imagination might conjure up some kind of criminal mastermind, the reality is often way less glamorous. A lot of black hat operations are just a numbers game. Not about genius, just blasting out thousands of phishing emails and hoping for a few clicks from vulnerable people. And this brings us to a specific type of malicious actor who doesn't even need to write sophisticated code. Their number one weapon is deception. They manipulate human psychology, our trust, our fear, our curiosity, to trick us into just handing over the keys to our own digital kingdom.
And this is hacking at its most sophisticated. Forget the lone wolf. We're talking about structured, well-funded organizations that operate just like corporations. As you can see, they steal data, run massive scams, launder money, and coordinate their attacks globally. They're basically a digital crime army, executing calculated heists for enormous profit.
Okay, we're on the home stretch. Let's just touch on a couple of other important archetypes to complete our map, and then we'll crystallize the main takeaway from all this.
So, way down on the lowest rung of the skill ladder, we have the script kiddie. These are basically amateurs using tools they downloaded off the internet, often with zero real understanding of how they actually work. They're literally just copy and pasting their way into trouble.
And that is just the perfect analogy. I mean, sure, they can occasionally cause some accidental damage, but their actual skill level and impact? Pretty minimal.
They're more of a nuisance than a sophisticated threat.
Now, this one is unique and incredibly dangerous. The insider doesn't need to break down the door because they're already inside the building. This could be a disgruntled employee or maybe a contractor whose account was compromised, using their legitimate access for malicious purposes.
So if there's one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. Hacker is not a single job description. It's this huge landscape of different players with wildly different goals. And understanding who might be targeting you and why they're doing it is the first and most critical step toward defending yourself online.
And that's the question we want to leave you with. Is it a white hat testing your defenses, a gray hat looking for a quick payday, or a black hat trying to break in? In our totally connected world, knowing the players is your absolute best shield.